Okay, back now to assembly time. Hopefully. Unless I forgot something. So we need to get some seals in here right now. So go ahead and put some of those in there before we put the crank in. Okay, these are oil pump seals. I'm not taking the oil pump apart, so we don't need those. This is for 67 to 71 clutch or 70 clutch. We're not using that. 72. It's a shift shaft seal. We will be using that. We got one seal. These two seals here are the same. And we got this real thin seal here. So this is for an 84 transmission sprocket seal, which we're not going to use. This is 72. It's pretty easy to figure out what you're going to use and not use. So these two seals here are the same. One's a left main seal, and the other one's a sprocket shaft seal, which goes in here. This one here, there's nothing wrong with it. It was replaced recently, so we're not going to use that one either. We're going to use the one that goes in the crank. And this is the timer seal, goes underneath the cam cover. So there you go. Now Sportsters use a rubber seal, and FXs use a steel-backed one on the shift shaft on the primary cover. Other than that, they're interchangeable. It's the same seal. Okay, I'm going to beat this in with a socket and a plastic hammer. So it looks like a 11/16 socket. Looks pretty close. In. Okay, timer seal we'll get later. So this is the sprocket seal that goes on a Timken bearing. So we have to start lubricating some of our parts here, so I'm going to do that right now. Oil here in the main bearing hole. A little bit on our cam bearings here. You want to make sure you put a lubricant on these, don't run them dry. If you run this stuff dry when you put the motor together, you will destroy the bearings most of the time. It takes a while before the oil pump gets any oil up this area. It's all splash lubricated, so it's pretty much the end of the line before these things get any oil on them. So if you wait that long, there might not be anything left to lubricate. Okay. Lubricate our Timken bearing here. So we can get some oil down inside those rollers down in there. So I'm going to pour a little bit of oil down in there. It's nice and thick oil. It's assembly lube, it's not oil really. Yeah, it's cold. So it takes a little bit to get it to lubricate in there. Now if you can't get a good amount of lubricant inside the bearing hole here, these rollers aren't lubricated very good. What you do is you pour oil in the crank before you put the top in on here. So you got oil sitting in the case. And when you start the bike up, you start it up and shut it off after about 5 or 10 seconds. And you do that a few times, and then the oil will splash in here and get these lubricated. Sometimes you'll even hear them in there squeaking when you first start the bike up. If you hear squeaking bearing, shut the motor off instantly, because that means you are killing a bearing. So I left this side here open too, so I get oil from this side. This is where the seal goes, so pour a little bit of oil in there. Now you don't have to use assembly lube on a lot of this stuff, but assembly lube will stay put for years. This torque will be there in 30 years, it will still be in here. I know that for a fact. I had a motor put together for 30 something years and still had oil in it, still had assembly lube in it. So I know it stays put. Because motor oil will just disappear on you. You also need to lubricate the crank over here. So I'm going to pull these rollers back just a little bit. Try not to go too far. Of course, you don't know if you went too far or not until you go too far. Okay. So now we go ahead and put the snap ring back on here. So it's a spiral clip. So you find out where the spiral is at. Do not stretch these things, that's not what you do, they'll pop off. So you just flex them out like that, get the first tang to catch, and you're just working around in a circle. It all went at once instead of going in a circle. Make sure it's in the snap ring groove. Next thing you want to do is make sure you got in play in the washer. If you have a load on it, right now it'll come off. You have to have free play for float clearance. Doesn't really matter too much how much you have, you just gotta make sure you have something. But like most things, 18 to 22 is a good starting point. That'd be thousands. Something like that, you could be at 30, it wouldn't matter. Might be at 50, it wouldn't matter. Okay, this Timken bearing over here, you got access to it, so you go ahead and lube it up right now. Hear how dry it is right now. Once the rollers start to roll, it'll quiet down a little bit. Make sure you put the space around here that belongs between the bearings. If you don't, you will kill the motor. Okay, now we go ahead and put the crank up in the holding fixture. It engages in these two holes right here. It's got two dowels that stick up over there. You can see them up on the stand right there. Case on there. Oh, we forgot the seal. See, I almost forgot to put the seal on it. Don't forget the seal. This is the time to put it in right now when you got access to it. Just beat it in there until it's flush. Don't beat all the way until it hits the bearing. Even though it's pretty much what I just did on one side. So if you go in there too far, go in a small screwdriver. Yep, lift it up a little bit. That ain't quite what I wanted to do. Real slick now. Okay, knock against it with. Usually a big socket works good. You want to make sure it's got clearance in there. It's only supposed to be flush with this outer steel race here, and then the Timken has to have a little bit of clearance. You can hear or see it moving up and down a little bit. So you want to make sure you got that clearance. If the seal's rubbing right against it, then the seal doesn't work right, it'll leak. Alright. Okay, now we go ahead and put the case up in the stand over there. You can almost see it. No, you can't see it. It's over there. Oh, I lost it. There it is, right there. Of course, now I gotta move the camera out of the way to get the tools I need. Get a good view of my head, though, can't you? Great camera work, huh? Okay, this is the Timken installing tool. So this screws on the end of the crank right here. Then you have a thrust bearing right here that pushes on the sleeve that shoves the bearing onto the crank. Do not beat it on the crank. It'll bend the crank. And this one's not made to work with a seal. So that means I get to pull the seal back out and just put it on. See, normally you put this in after the fact, not before. So all this rework we get to do. Now I'm not going to use a seal no more now. That's twice I put it in and out. I'm not using that one no more. This is not turned down small enough to go inside the seal. So if you push on, you're going to crush the seal, which will not work. So normally this is all apart and you put the seal on after the fact, but in this case here we're reassembling a motor so it's still together halfway. Alright, back over to this stage. Now we go ahead and push this on. First thing you do is you screw this down on the crank itself. Then you start screwing the bearing down. You gotta make sure the rods are sticking out in the right spot of the case over here. You gotta make sure they come out the right holes. If you got them both in one hole, it's gonna be a problem. Tighten it up. Make sure you got clearance in your bearing. Move it back and forth a couple times and check it again. We have clearance. Okay, so that part's done. Camera's in the way again. Camera's always in the way. Alright, we'll get that thing sort of out of the way. Okay. It's getting heavy. Okay, now I'm going to push the seal in there. I'm going to grab that second new one that I wasn't going to use. We have a spare. time I gotta make sure I don't hit it in too far. Pretty much pushing my fingers. Just push until it's flush, no further. There you go. Now it's in there. So just push in there just until it's flush with the outside edge. That's enough. No extra. Make sure everything turns freely. Always got to do that. Okay, we got to put our gasket sealer in here. Make sure everything's clean. I never rebuilt this motor. Thought I did. The reason I know I didn't do it is because there's lock tabs on it. I don't use lock tabs. I use Loctite. Lock tabs do not keep that nut from coming off. I've seen lots of motors with that nut falling off or half off. Tab's still there. Just bends it out of the way. Okay, I'm going to wrap that, wipe down your gasket surface nice and clean. See all the stuff on there? That's the solvent residue that's left. So you'll make sure that's cleaned off so that the sealer has something to bite into. One spar of the case is pretty dirty, the rest of it wasn't too dirty. There we got off all of it. We got that much puke. There's a dirty spot over there. Look how dirty that one is. Doesn't matter how many times you clean this stuff, you still get a little bit of residue. See, half the case we got that, and then one little corner I got that, so you never know the clean part from the dirty part. Okay, that's clean. It's clean enough. So I use my 3-bond sealer. So I just put that on my finger. There, stuck up already. There we go. Now this stuff, if it dries in your motor, gets in the motor, just pretty much chews itself up and disappears. Silicone sealer does not do that. It stays around, mushes around, and causes all kinds of problems. This stuff does not. It just breaks up and pulverizes and goes away. Just put a thin layer on here. If you got the case wiped down real good, it'll stick right on it. If it doesn't want to stick to it, that's where you'll get oil residue on there. Try not to put too much of a layer, just enough to hold it, just enough to cover it good. Any excess you put on, it goes on the outside and the inside. So whatever you see on one side, guess what? It goes on the other side too. Sportsters don't have any kind of a lip, so it squirts out equally out of both sides. Big twin cases have a lip, so most of it goes to the outside. Except for those new twin cam bikes. They're like a Sportster. They have no lip. Make sure you get a nice good layer on everything. Okay, make sure the dowel pins are still in the case. On this bike it looks like there's only 2 dowel pins. Earlier years they had 3. You have one right here above the tranny, one over here in the very front of the case. There used to be another one right next to this hole over here, but this one doesn't have that. Okay, after you do the one case, then you go and do the other side. Same thing. Same amount of sealer. If you have some kind of a gouge or something in your case, you gotta seal up. I put a fairly decent layer on top over the gouge area. You do that first, and after you're done with the rest of the case, both halves, you come back and put a little bit more dab right on top if it needs it. This stuff doesn't like to stick to itself. It kind of wads itself up a little bit when you try to put another layer on top of the layer that's already down. Kind of just makes a big ball mess. That's why you want to put a good coat on initially. Don't forget your center bolt up here. And the back man where I left off down here. Now one place they like to leak a lot is where the drain plug is, because the case kind of warps away. So you can always put a little bit thicker layer right across there. Remember, don't get too much on there. Remember, it's going to squeeze out everywhere. So. Okay. You let that get slightly tacky, but not much. Usually by the time you clean your hands off and get ready to do the next part of the job, it's already dry enough. Grab a dirty rag here to wipe my finger off on. Okay, everything's all lubed up already, so we have to wait to do that. And this bike, I got to make sure I put the motor mount spacing wash underneath the mount. And you have to put the mount in as you're going down on the case too, so don't forget. So this will be their motor mount. And these are the 3 washers we got to stick in there where we don't normally have washers. Holding it by the transmission, hold your finger works pretty good. Once you get down just a little bit below the stud, go ahead and add in these washers here. Then lay the motor mount up in there. If you go down too far, you can't put it in there, so you gotta get in there now when you can. Okay, now I'm holding my thumb and the mount together. And then you have to get over the crankshaft. So. For some reason that goes on tight, I don't know why. But it does, so we just continue with it. Put 3 washers on top. This is an oil line retention tab. It just bends over. That goes right here. And we got our 3 nuts. Two bolts up here on the top. This for the motor mount access. These have to be all, just kind of center this up a little bit. Watch the previous videos on how we did the motor mount. You can see how I do it, how I torque this in. Okay. Get some more of these bolts into the other part of the case. Top center bolt in here. You got 2 long bolts here. The longest one goes here. It's a step higher than this one. There's no room for washers if you make the bolts too short. You have to put them with no washers on them. Don't tighten, just bring them down until they hit. Okay, now you got 2 more lengths of bolts. You got 2 long ones, you got 3 short ones. The short ones go on the oil pump right under here, and these 2 go on the other side of the case. So these go right here. And once you have the oil pump on, you can't get to this bolt, and if you put the speedometer drive in here, you can't get to that bolt. So they have to go in now. I'm just going down until I hit. I'm not torquing them at all. Okay, now we flip the case. You got these 2 here. For some reason, I like putting wash underneath these bolts. That one's not tightening down, so I don't know, bottoming out or something. So I'm going to put a washer underneath these. These bolts are really, really long, so. You can see how they got over 3/4 inch of thread hanging out. It's like 7/8 of an inch of thread. So I probably had a washer under these when I put them together originally. If not, we're going to put a little small one in there. It's not going to be a lock washer though. There's a washer for there. Yeah, it doesn't need to be that one though. Into my junk box here for hardware. I'm not seeing too much. See, here's a junk lock washer. See how they flatten out? Whoop. Junk. That's why I don't like lock washers too much. You can't tighten them very much before they flatten out, and they break a lot of times too. My guess is they probably had these underneath the bolts. I'm not putting them back in that way. Put that over on this one. I've seen these two heavy duty washers here, so I'm going to use those for now. Yeah. Let me get a different one. This is on the inside, so you don't need to have a chrome one. So let me give me another washer real quick. Okay. Take that one out too. It might go somewhere else on the bike. They're chrome plated, so nothing else chrome on this motor. Okay, now we see if the bolt goes all the way down and torques in like it's supposed to. Back up here and see. Yeah, that one felt a lot better. There, that got tight instantly now. Before it was really soft and mushy feeling. That's not a good sign. Okay, so I start torquing the center one here, then this outer one. Got the center V. You torque the center out, so now we get the center bolt here. And this one. And we drop down here to the bottom. Then we go to our rear mounts here. Pull that down first, and this one, and this one, and this one, and the bottom one. And come back and re-loosen these, and re-torque them. That way you let the mount kind of self-center. Okay, so those are lightly torqued, not very much. Now you can start torquing them for real. Bigger ratchet. More torque. Now these will strip out easy because there's not very many threads, so you got to be careful. That's about it for that one. That's good for that. These ones down here have more length of thread in the case, so you can torque them a little bit harder. Fall over on me. So we get a little extra torque on these. These ones over here have a lot of thread in the case, so you can torque these really good over here. The top center one, you got a very little area, right? A little small area here, so you want to torque it too much, but you can put some torque on it. You don't have to be afraid to torque it, but you don't need to torque it a ton either. Good enough. Okay, now we go back to our rear mount. Now these are going to have to come back off again. Oh, I just thought of a new problem we're going to have. Yeah, we'll be back on this mount. Because this is a xlch. This is the oil tank mount we got to use, and it goes right on there. Yeah, it goes this direction like this. So this mount's in the way. So I've got to cut the mount away, and I've got to cut the bracket away. probably cut the bracket away. I don't care as much about the bracket as I do about the mount. Okay, now I got to torque the 3 nuts because we already did these. Just double check in case you forget. Yep, they're tight. Okay, now we torque these. Okay, it's tight. Tight. Move that one down a little bit. Gotta keep the bend tab lower if I can. Now it's still gonna come up. Okay. Now it seemed like it had quite a bit of a give on it. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen these back up. Attempt to loosen them up. There we go. And retorque them again. Now these I'll put Loctite on later. The other ones I don't. Okay, so now everything's in there torqued in. Make sure the crank spins free without any problems. Okay, 2 full turns is 1 motor revolution. So that's all good. Okay, now you can see what the case sealer looks like. So there's what's on the outside. You want to see a little bit of squish all the way around. See how it squishes all the way around. And if you want to know what's on the inside, that's on the inside. See, I told you it goes on both sides. It's all up in there too. So here's the back of the case, and there's the same amount on the front of the case inside the crank, inside in here. So it goes down the center of the crank down there. And here's your front up over here. So you can see a good line all the way down. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wipe this off with my dirty towel. Basically, you just take this here and you rub on it. And it comes off. You want to make sure you rub upwards to get out of the crank. You don't want to go inside the motor down below. So you go like that. Nice and clean. Okay, I'm going to do all of that. We'll be back in a few minutes.